morning pottering artists. Today we're going to look at using a cool blue glaze and a warm orange glaze in order to enhance a bone dry painting. So if you'd like to see that, keep watching. Hi, I'm Alison Fennell, the pottering artist. Welcome to my regular viewers, and if you'd like to subscribe and join us, please click the little red square in the bottom right hand corner, then click a grey bell to allow notifications, and make sure your device can accept alerts from YouTube. So in this video we're going to look at adding a cool blue glaze onto the top of these leaves here, and the flower and some of the blackberries, in order to indicate that it's outside in the sky. There's a blue cast coming down on from the sky, and we'll be popping in a warm orange wash around the bottom of the blackberries and the leaves and maybe some of the petals to indicate warm light bounce coming up from the earth. It's a sort of artistic trick that artists have used through the centuries, so we'll see how that works out on our blackberry painting. The colours I'm going to use are Daniel Smith colours. The first one is Manganese Blue Hue, and that is a transparent colour. And the next one is Perignon Orange, and this is semi-transparent. Ideally for glazes, you should be using transparent paints. But I'm going to try this orange because it's semi-transparent, and I love the colour of this. I've got my camera at a slightly different angle today, which I hope will allow you to see more clearly the application of the paint going on. To do this glazing, I'm using 3 types of round brushes. One is a size 10, one is a size 6, and one is a size 4 Masterstroke Aquamarine watercolour brush. If you want to get these, they're a lovely set, and there's an affiliate link to my Amazon page if you want to buy them there. That'll be helpful because that keeps this channel going. Then I've got my paints, which I'm actually testing, so I've got them in a temporary palette. There's the orange, Perignon Orange, and there's the Manganese Blue Hue, so I've got them ready. And as usual, I've given them a little squirt of water with my water spray to keep them moist. So the main thing to remember about glazing is that you need to have really, primed your brush. So I wet my brush in the jug very thoroughly, then I wipe the handle with a cloth and leave the hairs moist, okay? Because if you haven't got a fully saturated brush, it's quite hard to pick up that lovely dilute glaze mixture and lay it on gently onto your painting. So the mix for the glaze. I'm going to put a few brushfuls of water into this palette. There's already some Manganese Blue Hue on here. I'll pick up some more with my size 10 brush. We don't want it too strong that it shouts out, but we don't want it too weak that it's invisible. And if you're not sure, as always, you can just take a piece of watercolour paper and test it out. That should be okay, because when that dries it'll be lighter than that again. So what I'm going to have at the ready before I put this wash on is I'm going to have a size 6 moist brush, which is a brush that's been put in the jug, and then you flick it, so flick, and there's a little bit of moisture left in here, and that will be helping me blend away any hard line that I might get when I put the glaze on, because this is dry paper, don't forget, so I will end up with a hard edge. So this is ready to blend that hard edge away. This is called a moist brush. So I put that ready. So mix up my paint now. Let's start with the petal, and drag that blue over onto the top sort of third of the leaf. then we can sort of taper it down like that. That's a bit heavy, that blue on that pink petal, so I'm going to share it out very quickly, just share it out over the adjoining petal and then take it over into the leaf that's alongside. So this now is adding a blue cast, and this can suggest that yes, this is an outdoor scene. These are blackberries in a bush out in a hedgerow somewhere. I'm going to pop a bit of blue on there because that bulge in the petal, that curve in the petal, would be catching some of that blue skylight as well, and similarly there, just across that whitish area that I had left in. Now what I can do is start to soften that edge. If it looks too hard in places, I might soften it here. So I'm just rotating and blending that in a bit. Look at the other leaf. Rinse my brush again, flick my brush, and then rotate. You need to do this quite quickly before it has a chance to dry. Rotate that so it softens the edge, and maybe soften the edge on one of the petals there. So let's see how that is looking. So it's a little bit blue, but it's not it's not screaming at you. So I might just pop in a little stronger touch in places, just in a few places, so the viewer clocks that that is blue, a bit of blue, and it adds a bit of interest to the painting. Okay, pop a little bit more there, just a strong bit in places, but not everywhere, because you don't want to ruin the integrity of the painting by adding something that shouts out too strongly. So we're just putting these little sort of, we put an initial covering of blue on, as you saw, and now we're just adding some little extra exaggerated bits of blue, and the viewer then will read those through the painting. I'm also going to pop some of this blue into the top of the blackberry itself. This is a good place to pop some because these little pearls had a few white specks on them. So now this blue will suggest blue light glint from the sky above. You don't have to do all of them, just pop a few in on some of the pearls. Don't do every single one, just do a couple. And then maybe I'll drag a bit of that blue along a pale part of the green leaf there that's coming out. Blackberry. So let's zoom out now. Okay, so we've added a bit of a cooler element to the painting. Let's try now to put some orange on in the next clip. So I'm going to mix up, make sure your brush is really rinsed well, some orange now. So pick up some Perignon orange. It's a really beautiful, really vibrant orange, as you can see. I think this is one of the clearest and most oranges I've ever seen. I just love this colour. Orange is the colour of creativity, so they say, don't they? So I've got this size 10 brush now, loaded with this dilute wash, a bit more dilute actually, for this glaze quality. Okay, it's not too opaque. And I'm going to add this to the bottom of my blackberries. Just this bottom cluster and coming up the side a little bit. And this one, bit of warmth coming up the bottom. I wouldn't go higher than a third. Okay, thirds are good in art, aren't they? Thirds the rule of thirds is very useful in art, because we never want things to be equal. We never want something half blue and half orange, because it looks too static and it's too obvious. The brain can compute it really quickly. So I tend to go for thirds, which sort of foxes the brain and tricks it, and it's of more interest. So there's the orange going in on that petal. Now this is too much of a hard line here. So as I mentioned, we can go for our size 6 moistened brush, our brush that's ready for blending. This is a slightly moist brush. There's no drip on it, but it's got a bit of moisture in. And then just coax that up so that it doesn't end so abruptly. Okay, rinse my brush again. This one seems okay, so I won't touch that one. Now I'm actually liking this hard edge that I'm getting on the leaf there. Quite like that. So I'll leave that. But if I did want to soften any of those hard edges, I'd do it quickly with this moist brush and just touch in, rotate and rotate, and just blend it away. So there's more of a seamless blend there. Now that blue does look a bit hard, doesn't it? So I'll rinse my brush again, this moistening brush. Rinse my brush, flick it again, and it's still got a bit of moisture in, so I can just soften that hardness away and dilute the importance of that blue a fraction. So I'm just moistening that away. So that's a bit less obtrusive, isn't it? Okay, so let's add again, back to my size 10 brush, pick up some more of the Perignon orange, and let's get some of it all over the base of this main leaf. And I'm covering over some of those green stalks as well. I'll put that orange right in the gap there between those 2 white petals, so it'll really pop. You know, push the white petal forward. And I'm taking this across the leaf. I'm painting this really quite strongly. You can see it's warming up the leaf, can't you? Into these lovely pointy serrated edges that the blackberry has got. And just to have a bit of repetition, let's pop a bit of that warm orange in the centre of the flower. I'll go in again, quickly drop some in while it's still moist. This part of the leaf that I painted with the glaze is still moist, so pop a bit more orange in there. I'm going to let that dry. One thing I will do before I continue is to use a thirsty brush. This is a brush that's been rinsed and then dried on a cloth. I'm going to suck up, there's a bit too much of a puddle there, so suck up, there we are, some of that orange, and that looks a bit more believable. We'll leave that dry. Okay, and there we are. So I think this orange and the blue have played a nice part in finishing this painting, just given some interesting warmth to the bottom of the blackberries and some coolness on the actual pearls in places, such as there. I like this sort of ragged orange glaze that's just been left there, and the definite warm up of that leaf there. And the top of the actual white petals has got this blue coat on it, and a bit of a hint of blue in the top edge of the main leaf. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you'd like to learn more about glazing and other basic watercolour techniques, you might want to look at the link in my description about my new course for total watercolour beginners called Fanning the Flames of Fall. It's an 8-week online course, but you're encouraged to take your own time and go at your own pace. Of course, it's for life. I take you through everything you need to know to get traction in watercolour. and it's very simple and very slow and very methodical. So have a look and see if that's something that you might be interested in, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.